Our next speaker for this evening will be Mr. Kim Øystein Næss. Mr. Næss serves as the lead analytics architect at Hitachi Vantara and is an expert in digital innovation through data-driven analytics. Mr. Næss will speak on how big data technology is helping industries to create meaningful and actionable data and have an accurate overview of all resources. Mr. Næss?
So, hey, let me just find my presentation. Okay, it's good. So Kim, working with also in Hitachi, but also working on the Norwegian Computer Association. I am a board member at the BI and Analytics team. Also on the Norwegian Research Council, or Norges Forskningsråd, as a panel expert for IoT and AI projects that are being submitted to us. So first and foremost, to go a little bit into history, so back in the 40s and 50s, a lot of the things with AI, especially that we're talking about today, was more or less the frameworks, the solutions, a lot of the models, etc. They were thought of and constructed, and people started thinking about what can we do when we have the power of enough CPU and storage, etc. And funnily enough, back in the 50s, they said that, well, if you get 10 of our brightest minds in one room, we can solve all of our problems. I was pretty optimistic. And one of the things that really has, because since AI is like a new buzzword, but really it's been here for ages. If you really think about it, it's all mathematics. You can take it all the way back into the before Christ, if you want to, where people were solving things with mathematics. But what it has enabled us today is that the cost of CPU and the cost of storage has lowered so drastically that we're now able to analyze a lot more data than we ever could before. So this has enabled AI and the mathematical models and the algorithms that we are developing to solve a lot more challenges that we can today than before. And the next leap in that is going to be quantum computing, something that I find very curious to read about, but is also very difficult to understand. That's not going to be the next generational leap. So that was back, so I'll go forward. So I just wanted to, so just want a little bit of backdrop of myself. So my first recollection was, of course, with Hitachi, was not computers, with television sets and hi-fis. When I was 15 and you were becoming a man in Norway, you get your konfirmasjonspenger. And when I was 15, I think I got like 16,000 kroners. I was really happy with that. What I'm going to spend it on. I should have bought everything like in stocks in like Microsoft or Google or something. Like she saw that the rise in power has shifted. I'll be a millionaire today. I didn't. So I was choosing between a Hitachi set and a Sony set, and I chose the Sony one. So sorry about that one. And also Hitachi is it's a big company. People might not even know how big Hitachi is before we really start thinking about it. We deliver everything from MRI, magnetic resonance machines at hospitals to take your MR, to X-rays, to do pharmaceuticals, to do chemical solutions, to building trains with a lot of the 2,000-3,000 sensors per train. You think about it, Hitachi manufactures it. So we're also, when you say about the sustainable future and we need some companies to take action, so we're part of the problem, but we also want to be part of the solution. Now I represent Hitachi Vantara, and we are the technology division of Hitachi. We deliver everything that you are interested in with data, from storing it, to enriching it, to activating it, and to analyzing it. Now I also like robots, they're pretty cool. This is the Atlas one, which Boston Robotics built, pretty amazing. And I just saw a video showing what Atlas was able to do like 2 years ago to what it's able to do today. And then you can be either on the left side or the right side of people thinking the robots, if they will take over, is we're going to have a Terminator Judgment Day. I don't know. I am an optimist. I do believe in the future. So I do hope it's going to be good robots. I like this guy. I had the opportunity to meet him. Because I had like 14 Teslas, I'm a huge fan. I had the original Roadster back in 2012, so I love that. And Today, and also linking that in, because Hitachi also does robotics, he does autonomous driving. We deliver some of the autonomous driving systems to Honda and to Toyota. So we're linking into all of these kind of businesses. And what I'm really proud of is that, and this is the website of Hitachi, and you were speaking about doing good, companies that do money or do good. So Hitachi's slogan is social innovation is powering good. We are powering good. That's what Hitachi want to do. And we live by that. We made our own, we have about 800 companies within Hitachi Group, and one of those companies is I don't know if it's a non-profit organization, but the only thing they do, Hitachi Social Innovation, is try to make better ways for a sustainable future for all of us. It's one of our biggest bets, it's one of our, what we really want to do. And of course, the Sustainable Development Goals are there. We live by them, or we want to live by them. So, McKinsey, everybody listens to them, right? Even Gartner listens to them. Data and analytics are changing the basis of competition. What can we do with data if we have enough data at a problem and you're utilizing the right analytics, the right AI? Can we solve it? And I do think that we can. Now, just recently we had in the newspapers here in Norway, Tine, who are responsible for delivering the milk in Norway, were saying that we have to close down most likely several of our dairy, not dairy farms, but the mejeriene, where they are taking in the milk, because they are seeing a dip in demand for milk. And I find this kind of strange, because if Tine had been following the trend of especially the Western population, and more likely in Norway, you see that the trend of drinking milk is really declining. The trend of eating meat is really declining. I've been a vegetarian myself for 2 years, trying to be vegan as well. So I don't drink milk anymore. I drink Oatly, which is a oat milk, which is from Sweden. And I'm thinking, Tine, because when they were speaking about this, they are saying that we need to shut down our dairies. And I think they're missing the opportunity, because if they're using data and analytics, they could see that they have a sustainable future for themselves, going into a business where they can sell more oats and oat milk early on. They could have had a sustainable business instead of closing down some of their factories, which is pretty sad because they don't really understand where they are. Now, I know that Tine has created one oat milk, Gryr, which came, I think, last year, but I think they're missing the timing of when they're coming out, and people don't even know about it. How many know about Oatly? Can I see a raise of hands? A lot of people. How many people knew about Gryr? Come on, no, not too many. So Tine, you're missing a big opportunity here. Utilize data analytics even more. Now XXL, myself, I've been profiting, or I don't know, wasting my money. Capitalism is a problem if you think about a sustainable future. I've spent too much money at XXL at their warehouse clearouts, because I think there's a good opportunity for me to save some money. But what if they had started to think about a smarter way of doing their buying? They have a big bet when they're buying in so big bulks to get the low prices that they're getting. Because if one winter goes bad, or if you suddenly we're not interested in going cross country or going skiing or biking or anything, or something goes wrong, their warehouses are piled up. Maybe they should understand a little bit more about the buying trends, enrich that with some more weather data, forecasts, etc., and go more into the supply chain of ordering more as their stocks actually go out. So the stocks of the warehouse go out. They could have been much smarter into what they do, is my belief, if they utilize data analytics in an even better way. And if anyone is here from Tine or XXL, then I'm sorry, but come speak to me afterwards so we can discuss it. So within 12 years, 80% of financial firms will either go out of business or be rendered irrelevant. This is just with the financial industry. What I want to emphasize is that it just doesn't come only into the financial industry. It goes into every industry. Everyone needs to change. Everyone needs to be more sustainable. One of the companies that we worked with was Stena-Line. So with Stena-Line, they had a challenge for us where they said that, well, we want to be better, we want to be smarter, and how can we do it? We have a lot of data from our ships already, the ferries that are crossing the Baltics and in between Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Germany. and some more places. But how can we utilize that data to find some more insights? Well, first and foremost, our goal was to help an AI augmentation, an AI captain of their ships, to help them make better decisions. We did that by taking data from all of the ships, enriched it with weather data, etc., to make sure that the ships arrived more safely in safer waters based on the tides, the waves, and the wind, and etc., and with less fuel consumption. Now, we're saving fuel. That's a good thing. That's good for the environment. That one is really not visible. So, Nick, for your PowerPoint skills, come see me afterwards. I can show you how to copy and paste with the original formatting in place. So this one says that the light bulb didn't come from continuous improvement. You need to have some sort of aha moment. Now, if somebody, so the candle didn't come from the continuous improvement of the light bulb. Now, by that I mean that if the inventors of the candle wanted a better and better and better candle, they would not have ended up with a light bulb. Obviously, perhaps a bigger candle, bigger cord, bigger flame, whatever. It was a brand new product. And going into a little also what you said earlier, so when we think about the way we consume things, that the guy with the 6-year-old TV, he can't use his TV anymore. It was the original light bulb factories that started the business of selling something over and over and over again. The original light bulbs, if you've ever seen one in a barn or somewhere, you can see them still. They're over 100 years old, and they're still shining. Because the cord in the light bulb was so thick, it never broke. The light was maybe not as sharp or as good as you would expect from the ones that we have here today, but it lasted and lasted and lasted. And the light bulb manufacturers, they thought, okay, if we do this, we're going to be out of business. So we need to create light bulbs that actually cease to exist. This is also something that happened in the car industry a long time ago. They also created in the early 20s, 30s, 40s, the cars that they produced were so durable that they almost never break, even in America. And today we say they break all the time. Capitalism is to fault, right? So let's see if you can see my next slides. So let's go into a little bit about how we can solve this and what we can do for some of these challenges. So within IoT, and IoT is a great way for capturing data from a lot of things that are around us. It can be from this room, it can be on me as a human, it can be on wearable devices that I have that will capture data about me, or in a factory, or on a ship, or on a car, etc. Now what's good with that is that any kind of IoT has a data source that's being outputted that you can subscribe to. You need to connect to it. But then you need to see that you have data from a lot of different sources. Now the people creating that data, or the sensor creating that data, they might not have intended to create that data in a readable format so you can understand it, in a business format that you can understand, in a human format that you can read. Now we need to do some conversions. And then comes the centralization. You need to gather data from a lot of different sources in one place. You can analyze them, look at clusters of information that can give you more insight if you're doing it in a good enough way after the conversions. And then cognitions, because when you have centralized it and centralized all the data from a lot of different sensors, you can start to create meaning. And when you create meaning, you get those insights that are valuable for you, that you can hopefully create something that is better for a sustainable future, better for your business, better for money, and better for good. Last, continuous improvement. Now, one of the big faults of implementing machine learning models is that you do a lot of research, you do a lot of testing, and you find a machine learning model that is really good, and you put that in production. Hopefully it's a human intervention system that the human will also have some say in what you actually be applying with that algorithm. Because, for instance, we have about 200-300 train sets in the UK that are outputting 40-50 terabytes, 200 terabytes of data in just 1 year, and that just sends the data from trains. Now, if we train a model for brakes on a train, and if you train that model on new trains with new brakes on a sunny day in the UK, then I don't want to be on that train when it's raining and that train is 5-year-old. Because that braking distance is going to be a lot longer than what it was originally going to be. Now, that's why you retrain your models over and over and over again, either to find a new model that's better, or to retrain it on older data or new data that will show you how it will deteriorate. So, information wants to be expensive. Now, if you gather data and you store the data, yes, it can be a little bit expensive. It depends on the size and the speed and the network and etc. and the things that you need. But information should also be free. Information should be freely available. Data democratization is one of the things we're talking about in a lot of businesses today. The data should be available to the right person at the right time when he needs it. It shouldn't be any blocker, it shouldn't be a silo, it shouldn't be difficult to find the data, either from a government, from an organization, for a company, or for yourself if you want to find something. And lastly, when you refine the data, and when you find enough meaning in the data quality enhances, and you enrich the data with more data sets and more data sources. Data wants to be useful. Data is then really becoming something, some calls it the new oil. I disagree with that, and I'll be coming back to that as well. So, with all of that data comes chaos. And chaos is difficult to manage sometimes. Fibonacci, a famous mathematician, posted a problem once. And he said that, well, if you have 2 rabbits on an island, and if you let them do their work, rabbits do what rabbits do, for a month, you'd have 4,096 rabbits. Now, what if your data was wrong? What if your sensor data about those rabbits were wrong? What if 2 rabbits were hiding in the bushes? Then you'll be wrong by about 100%. So, if you are not particular about your data, and the data quality isn't good enough, your insights are going to be way off. Now, complexity. A lot of different systems can be really, really tough to analyze, and you need to have some kind of domain knowledge in order to analyze them, to understand them. Now, people coming in, like, for instance, from my team, we will do the data engineering, we will do the data science, and we can do all those things with data as long as we can see them, understand them. But in order to analyze them and to really see how they fit with your company, your organization, we need to have the domain knowledge about what you are doing. And we don't have that. That's why we have to work with the clients that we engage with. Now, when we do that, we can have order into the chaos and the complexity that we have. Also looking into opacity, seeing more than just what's on the surface. So when you see an iceberg, only the tip of the iceberg is showing, you have so much more to it underneath that you don't really see. And that's the same thing with a lot of different systems. If you start gathering data about just one thing, I'm pretty sure you're going to have to have a new discussion about what other data we can bring in order to enrich it to get better decisions, better insights before we take the decisions. So, with all of this computational power, the data storage is becoming so cheap, what can we do with this? So how can this benefit us as a society, as people, inhabitants of this beautiful Tellus, the planet Earth? Well, first and foremost, one of the industries that we are working with, Stena was one example, and I'll get back to one more use case afterwards, is within transport and shipping. Now, within transport and shipping, almost 10% of GDP goes into logistics. Now, 10% maybe not too much if you're thinking about maybe my wallet and what I spend money on. But if you go to the poor countries of the world, and if they can reduce some of their GDP, like 5%, for them, 5% more means that they have more money for food, for clean water, for energy, people that are absolute necessities for them. I might have 5% more for XXL. Correct, yeah. We also have problems with war zones and areas where we are facing adversities. I think I'm going a little bit behind schedule as well. I'll do a little bit faster. One of the fields we are also working in is within farming. Now, one of the next big breakthroughs in farming is, it might be a disruption to the farmers, but that might be a good thing. The tractors were, in the old days, people were having an ox and a big plow behind them to make sure that the fields became fertilized, and you can sow your crop there. Now, then the tractor came and made it a lot faster, and the machine came in and did that work easier for the ox, so the ox could relax a little bit more, will become dinner. The next thing is that we're going to be replacing the farmer itself, because one of the good things about autonomous systems like tractors is that they can actually work a field because it's in an enclosed environment, but there are no roads and hopefully no other animals or humans. So they can actually plow the field automatically 24/7 without anyone else having to interrupt it. Now, if you can do these kind of things, if you can find the places where the soil is good, where we can have a automized farming environment, especially for places like this, the amount of, I think it's about a 70% increase of the plants and the corn that we produce today can be increased by 70% just by applying this. So the future is open to suggestions. Social innovation is one of those businesses that we have been working with, and that is a really, really nice slide. So thanks, Nick. This goes into you should have copied it with the original source formatting. So I have a black background. That's why these aren't showing. This goes into digital Darwinism. So digital Darwinism is that companies are being disrupted. Companies see that their existing business models or existing markets are being changed. And if they don't see it, they will go out of business. Since 2000, 52% alone have gone from the Fortune 500. It is estimated, you lost that one as well, it's an estimate that 75% of those companies on the Standard & Poor 500 will be replaced by 2027. These companies need to take data analytics more seriously in order for them to cope with that. And being sustainable is one part of that. So, can you truly say that your organization is really effective at using data analytics? Do you have data in silos? Are data free and can move freely to whoever needs it when they need it? That's one of the hard things. So is data the new oil? In a sustainable conference as we are today in a speak, it isn't. Data isn't the new oil. You should stop using that term. Because the oil is something that is not replenishable. It dies away. It's not going to be more of it. But as an energy source, we can compare it to the sun. So data is more like the new sun because, great animations when it's not shown here. That's going to be even harder. Okay, let me just skip fast. Okay, so really, data is the new sun because as data is being gathered, it will only add more and more value. So as you add data, it actually adds value as you go along. And it's totally sustainable because it will never wear out, like our sun, well, in a few million years maybe. So, we have worked with a lot of different companies. I'm going to be finishing off with Caterpillar and shipping, because it's one of those things that we can really change the way they do their business. And it's going to be a lot more sustainable if we can help them on that journey. Now, Caterpillar was collecting data from everything from the propeller to the hull to any kind of machinery that was part of the boat in order for them to understand how the boat was moving forward. How can they move forward in a more predictable manner? They also started enriching that with a lot of third-party data sets like weather, about the currents, etc., for them to understand what was helping, what they could utilize to make those ships go more fuel efficient. We helped them by connecting all of those IoT sensors data and building one repository and helping them analyze those data with machine learning models and visualizing them in dashboards that their operators could use. Now, they found that by applying these techniques, they created their own Caterpillar Asset Intelligence. From every part of the ship, they now have maybe not a physical or a digital representation of a digital twin, but more of an understanding of a digital twin of everything that goes on in the ship. And when they had that, and they can visualize everything that happened on the ship, they could more accurately understand what savings they could have. So this is just power savings on the boat, and that's fuel savings on the boats, but also reducing unplanned maintenance, having the ships run when there's jobs for them to have. So the cars will be parked for a long time. Ships will also be parked. And the ships and a parked ship is still running, so it's going to be releasing emissions as a parked ship. They don't turn it off. They can't, or they can, but it's not very good. And reducing unplanned maintenance, because when you are doing so scheduled maintenance, like on a car that we're all used to, that's something that happens at regular intervals, but it's never something that's really a precise science, because my Audi dealer or my Tesla company or whatever, they say, well, bring in your car every 20,000 kilometers or 40,000 or 60,000, and we replace those and those parts. Based on our history and based on our experience, those parts will wear out approximately then. But that's just a safety measure. We are throwing away so many good car parts every year, and we've been doing that for 100 years. That is ridiculous. Because the brakes are never worn out when I change them. They're very well, and they could last for a lot longer. Because the car companies, maybe Tesla is going to be one of those game changers, the car companies don't see my driving dynamics. They don't see the environment that I'm driving in. So they're comparing it to a general baseline in order for them to have a safety measure that ensures them that nothing bad will ever happen to their car, so they end up in a lawsuit. We should do that with a lot higher precision by enabling IoT data from all those cars. And that's what the Caterpillar are doing, like it's a Tesla on the ship with what they're doing today. And with that, I'm finished. Thank you so much.
Sorry about the slides, Kim.